crispy.
All right, guys. So I just finished up a Spider-Man run, a pretty epic Spider-Man run. 2 videos ago was my just kind of obscure, just weird pictures that I came up with. Him against Stiltman, and then him with Wolverine, and just a few other random pictures. And then my last video was the epic loves of Spider-Man, and then I got a villains one coming up. That should be pretty sweet. I mean, the pictures in it really turned out great. But after doing, a bunch of something like, I don't know, 12, 15 shots, 13 shots, something like that, my place is destroyed again, which is pretty typical for sitting and really going to town. This is how I store all my mini-mates currently. Not all of them, just a portion of them is in these tubs. And it's really cumbersome, hard to deal with. It's hard to find stuff. But what I did, like maybe 6 months ago, is I put these. Let's see here. Back up a little bit. But I put these storage, these things for like screws, and put 3 of them in, and it eliminated having to store my MCU and Avengers in Fantastic Four. Actually, 2 I got in there. Into those bins. But the funny thing is, this takes up so much space, and it is seriously from the top down. We basically have, in order of when it came out, all the MCU movies, and some of these have a lot in them. Let's see, Civil War has like all the villains in one, and all the heroes in another one, and as we go farther down, we still got our let's see, we're at Infinity War now, and I think the very bottom one is where I started. Yeah, this is where I started. I think Iron Man was my first normal. No, Thor was my first comic book ones to store in here. But and then as you go down to the bottom, it gets to the Fantastic Four at the bottom, Avengers BC. Let's see what else we got over here. Ant-Man and the Wasp. But yeah, it really helped clear off the floor. But I got 3 more, and I think what's going to go in there is Spider-Man, because I find him to be one of the more difficult ones to store. And then I might jump over to Marvel Knights, or maybe I just do X-Men. I don't know yet, but I hope this eliminates a lot of these tubs, but I'm afraid of how many it will actually eliminate. If it's going to be substantial enough, really needs to be done. It just sucks dealing with this, and it cleans up so much more floor space. I kind of want to get better lights than what I have someday, and I'm going to need the floor space for the tripods for them. But it is what it is. So let's. I'm going to hang up all the containers, and we'll go through some of the process. All right, so we got the new storage units up, which should alleviate a lot of my issues with having my tubs all over the floor. But yeah, basically got them all mounted up. It's a good spot to put them. There's not much else I can do with that wall anyways. Can't put a bookcase there or anything. So this will really help. Thank God that floor vent and then the light switch really kind of worked out to get 3 of them into this spot. But that was the easy part. Now the hard part is, man, just filling them up and picking and choosing and get everything put away. So let's do that. All right, so I just did the first round of shelves. Pulled 6 down. Since it's at the very top, like up towards the ceiling, I can't reach it, but it's kind of it's just on the border of me not being able to reach it. I'm gonna put stuff up there I don't use as much. And starting out there would be Marvel Cosmic. So we have our first tray is the Skrulls, second is the Kree, and then third is the Nova Corps. And then the next row would be Marvel Cosmic, which is just basically a miscellaneous characters from the Marvel Cosmic Universe. It can't justify a whole bin with. So we basically have Thanos, the Beyonder, Mephisto, the Collector, Howard the Duck in there. Unfortunately, the Inhumans are in there at this point in time, which is literally just Black Bolt and what's the dog's name? I'll think of it. I'll think of it later. I can't think of his name right now. But then the next one is Guardians of the Galaxy, which at this point in time doubles as Infinity Watch. There's a lot of the Infinity Watch characters from the 80s, 90s. And nowadays they pretty much became Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm pretty sure because of the popularity of that team, they just kind of threw Adam Warlock. And while she's been a member of, well, maybe that's just since the movie. I can't remember if she was ever a member of Guardians until that movie became popular. But anyways, we also have, to the right of that, we have the Heralds of Galactus, which takes up plenty of room, for their own deal, especially with all the flame effects and cool effects that came with those. But Galactus is in there too. And so this is my first 6. I'm going to go put them up there, and then it's on to something else. All right, so we have our next 12 tubs filled. Starting from left to right, we have the Hand. Then we have Marvel Knights Villains, Daredevil and Elektra. The next row would be all the Netflix stuff. That's probably going to go on the very, the higher up, because I just don't get any use out of those 2 left ones, the Netflix characters, and we'll see what happens if they ever join the MCU. Those may just be a thing of the past. I don't know. I just never really tempted to use them. But then we have Heroes for Hire on the right. And then the next up is basically on the right, we see red and blue Spider-Man, all of them in one tub. The middle is Spider-Man variant suits, and then like Miles and Scarlet Spider, those characters. And then next to that is New Warriors, which is kind of a funny one because we don't really have any New Warrior characters. We got a Firestar way back in the day, and then they never really did any more. But I got Namorita, and I have this variant Firestar I made for Maximum Carnage when that came out. Oh, and I guess Cloak and Dagger used to be part of the New Mutants or New Warriors, and so I put them in there. But yeah, we got Night Stalker, is that his name? But most of them are Luke's Toy Store variants. Is kind of what that's all about. But God, I hope, it's kind of like the Inhumans. I hope we get more someday. Who knows? And then that back row is Punisher on the right. The middle one is just basically a bunch of occult characters like Ghost Rider, Morbius, Blade is in there, Moon Knight. I threw both White Tigers in there. And then on the left, it's Ghost Rider and Doctor Strange. And then that's actually Brother Voodoo, a really nice custom I have of him. I've only used him once. Maybe it's time to pull him back out. But this basically fills one of those totes, whatever you want to call it, that I hung up. So we've made it this far on one. I'm kind of thinking we might get the X-Men in the rest of them too. All right, so I got another 12 done. We have right here, starting from here, that is Venom. Basically Anti-Venom, Venom, Eddie Brock, whatever, Flash Thompson, Venom, all those in there. This next one is Carnage, and I did throw the Maximum Carnage figures in there, the, what are their names, Shriek, and I forgot the other two. One's a Doppelganger, and then I forget what the guy in the yellow is. But the next one is Spider-Man Villains, kind of an elemental theme, water, sand, and then molten man I threw in there. This is just the easiest way for me to remember it. This one back here is Peter Parker, and then his female spider, characters, Mary Jane, Silver Sable, all those other guys. And then on this middle one is Spider-Man accessories. There's enough webbing. That straw is how I straighten out webbing, but there's enough webbing to justify its own thing. But yeah, there's a tombstone in there. There's all sorts of cool stuff. There's this accessory to put villains wrapped up in it. That rope we're going to see in a video coming up. And then this one on the left is Spider-Man movies. Another one that'll probably never ever get touched is Spider-Man movies. And then the next row is, this one's all goblins on the left. The middle one is original Sinister Six. Obviously Sandman's not in there. He has just way too much stuff to throw him in there and take up space. But yeah, the middle one is just the original Sinister Six, and then this next one is basically what's left over for Spider-Man villains. I mean, you can see some of the superior foes of Spider-Man. You can see Rhino, Lizard's in there, J. Jonah Jameson's in there. And then I had to make the decision on what I was going to go with next. I wasn't really sure if I wanted to touch X-Men or go with like Shield agents and Hydra. But I'm hoping I'll be able to fit the rest of my X-Men in what's left here. Who knows? Maybe I'll have room for Hydra and Shield to have their own compartments finally. But I don't know how realistic that's going to be, because there's a lot of X-Men. So, and I'm trying to figure out where everybody goes. You know, I got it all spread out on the floor to where I think I got it figured out. But man, there's a lot of those figures. So we'll see what happens. All right, so next few rows we have the one on the left is actually giant size X-Men. The remainder of those like Warpath, or excuse me, Thunderbird and Sunfire, and then Dazzler and Longshot are mixed in there. It's kind of almost a miscellaneous. This middle one is Rogue, Gambit, and Bishop. This other one is like 90s X-Men. It really is just a catch-all. There's a lot of customs in there, and you know, Jubilee's in there. She doesn't really fit, you know, anywhere else in the X-Men. Besides the 90s, you know, there's not enough Beast to have a tray for Beast himself. The back one on the right is Storm and Banshee. The middle one is Xavier, and then the Strike Force X-Men. And then the left is Cyclops, or Psylocke, and Angel, all his different variants. And then the next row that's Joss Whedon and Grant Morrison, X-Men mixed together. That's the 90s. The middle one is the 5 original X Factor. We actually have enough characters out of that to justify their own tray. And then on the right is the 90s X Factor. And then we have Multiple Man. There's actually more of him than there is the 90s X Factor. So he gets his own tray, and then this middle one is New Mutants, and then this one on the far right is X-Force, 90s X-Force. So we still have 12 trays left on all those. God, I hope I get all my X-Men put in them. I don't want any X-Men separated from the other ones, but we'll see what happens. All right, so I basically filled every container, and now we have basically the rest of X-Men. I got as far as I could. And it actually worked out perfect. There is no Wolverine in any trays, but there are so many of him and so many versions of him that it's probably going to take up half of one of those containers itself. But anyways, basically, let's start over here in this corner. We got Sentinels, basically every kind of Sentinel there is that's not bulked up. I got quite a few of those. The next one over is the 2 Nimrod Sentinels I have, and then a bulked up Sentinel. And then on the right we have Hellfire Club and Phoenix, kind of a different... They fit together, you know. It makes sense to me that I'd have Hellfire Club with Phoenix, but then the funny thing is we have the Phoenix 5 in there too, but they're Phoenix villains, so I guess it works. Top left corner is Strike Force, Wolverine Strike Force, X-Force. The next one over, I can't see very well, but that's Magneto and Onslaught. And this one over here, you know, it's all of him. I wish there was more. God, I wish I had more Magnetos. We need more Magnetos. And then it's Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Next to that, whether it's classic Brotherhood with Toad or else with Blob. You know, the second generation Freedom Force, Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. And then back here, I may not have fit in Wolverine, but starting from left to right, I got basically Wolverine villains. The middle one is just a miscellaneous X-Men villains. Black Tom, you can see in there. Juggernaut's in there, Mojo, Arcade, Apocalypse, Sinister, and then next to that we have Brood, and then human villains like Senator Kelly, and then Bastion, which he's not human, but he's a Sentinel, but you know, it kind of fits in there. And then Reverend Stryker, and then next down we have Age of Apocalypse. The middle we have Age of X-Men, which probably never getting use out of, and then Days of Future Past mixed in with them. And then last but not least is the Fox X-Men. I jammed all into one container. They just barely fit, but it's another one I'm not going to use that much. Although I did do some Fox X-Men, a video of that a while ago, if you scroll back far enough. But yeah, it's jam-packed, and there's no room for growth in there. But this is basically all I got fit in there. Or I could fit in what I started this video out with. A couple funny things. This red tray on the left is nothing but stands that I pulled out of every container. Nowadays I don't leave them in Ziploc bags, but that Ziploc bag holding them from pouring out, that was from something else, but the rest, it's not full of nothing but stands. And then the next one next to it's flight stands. All this stuff is in Ziploc bags in these tubs. And that's one pile of Ziploc bags. That's another pile. This is from the original one I did. And then these are all the containers that I just took out of my room, so there'll be way more room in here. Still not enough. I think if I got 3 more and maybe stuck them in this back corner, I could eliminate the rest of these tubs if I stuck them in that corner, but I don't know if I'll get around to that. I don't really like where that is. I need to sell off some comics or box them up, put them away, and just kind of take a bookshelf out, or at least convert one over to more gear, because there's just so much. I got so much junk in here. God, it's crazy. But yeah, let's put them where they go. So again, starting out with my old stuff that I did. You know, I'm sorry guys about the lighting in these pictures. I just don't don't have it set up properly for inside this place. But you know, basically starting out with the other one, again, this is all MCU, basically all the way down to almost the bottom, and then about right here it turns, where am I? Right there, it turns over into normal Avengers, and then it goes all the way down to the bottom, and you got Fantastic Four in there too. And then up on this new stuff, we have the very top is the Cosmic, and then it switches over to Marvel Knights, Daredevil, and then once we get down here, then we're into Spider-Man, and then as you keep going down, we turn into X-Men, and that's basically it. Then it's full. So, oops, I lost a sign somewhere. I'll have to look for that. But yeah, definitely more organized. It's nice to get all this junk out of there. I honestly, with what I got left here, I could probably get away with probably like 2 more, but I'll get 3 just for future growth. Man, I got these Ziploc bags. I can't just throw them out. I got to go through each and every one and see if there's anything I left behind in them, just to make sure I have every accessory, every little bit and piece of what I got here. But this place needs a massive overhaul. I was hoping to get into G.I. Joe this weekend, do some videos for them, but for as much time as this has taken up, I don't think that's going to happen. I think that'll have to wait till next weekend. I just got to get this room cleaned up and organized a little bit better than what it already is, than the mess that it's in right now. So anyways, hey, thanks guys. I hope you got something out of that. Hope you know, for you people who are really into collecting, hopefully you learned something. Those are Menards. Are like $17 a piece, I want to say, something like that, for one of those containers, and I have 6 of them. But they really help get those guys organized, and I don't really like leaving them in Ziploc bags. I don't think it's good for the plastic to not let them breathe. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but yeah, it's nice to finally get a bunch more of those put into containers. So anyways, hit the like and subscribe button. We'll see you guys later. I got another video coming up Another Spider-Man, it's Spider-Man villains video. That one's really awesome. There a lot of really good stuff came out of that. Shouldn't be too much longer before we guys see that. Otherwise, I will see you guys at the next video. Bye now.